Heartwarming twist, Tearful call to the wrong number exposes an incredible billionaire's life-changing journey in a small town called Cedar Grove. Jake Turner, a middle-aged mechanic with grease-stained hands and a heart of gold, was about to receive the call that would change everything. While he worked in his cluttered auto shop, listening to the familiar clatter of tools and the comforting smell of oil swirling around him, the telephone rang. Jake picked it up, expecting one more mundane conversation, but instead, he got the booming voice of billionaire Charles Whitmore on the other end. The shock nearly knocked him off his stool. "Is this Jake Turner?" "I'm looking for Charles Whitmore," the voice said, booming with authority. Jake hesitated, confused, but felt a knot in his chest. You've got the wrong number, sir." Yet there was something about the voice that made him spill it all: his late nights, the worries about his father's fading health, and his deepest dream for his daughter, Emily, to break free from the cycle of hardship they lived in. His words poured out like an overflowing bucket, raw and unfiltered. On the other end, Charles was taken aback. No one had ever been so honest with him. Here was a man whose life was colored with struggle, a life Jake believed anyone could understand. The walls of wealth and privilege melted away as their conversation transformed the very fabric of their existence. Charles was listening intently, absorbing Jake's every word, each filled with grit and determination. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As the weeks turned into months, their unlikely friendship blossomed over phone calls that crossed worlds and bridged experiences. Jake's unwavering spirit inspired Charles, who began reevaluating the very essence of success. But soon, whispers of their connection spread through Cedar Grove like wildfire. Friends and family looked at Jake with a mix of admiration and worry. Emily, restless and frightened, feared her father was losing sight of their humble values. "Dad, you won't let it change you, will you?" she asked, her voice quivering, eyes filled with tears. The divide between them felt monumental. As the weight of their relationship grew, tension simmered beneath the surface of their once tight-knit community. With every new interaction, Jake found himself grappling with his identity. Who was he as a mechanic, a father, and now, a friend to a billionaire? And Charles, tangled in his own privilege, questioned how much he could evolve. Then came the tragic tipping point. An emergency struck Cedar Grove, drawing the community together. The pain rippled through every heart, and as chaos unfolded, Jake was faced with a poignant question about loyalty and sacrifice. Standing before his neighbors, the room silent, all eyes on him, Jake felt the heat of uncertainty. Would he choose family over newfound aspirations? Would Charles reach down into his wealth and stand by the man who'd grown to be so much more than a wrong number? In that moment, everything hung in the balance, the air thick with anticipation. What would he choose? Cedar Grove was ablaze with anxiety. The emergency had struck like a bolt of lightning, igniting fear in the hearts of everyone who loved the small town. A devastating fire had consumed the old community center, the heart of Cedar Grove. It was where neighbors gathered, children played, and families celebrated. With ashes swirling like memories lost, Jake stood at the center of the discord, his pulse racing. Jake's instincts kicked in. He knew he needed to rally the community, to bring them together in this dire time. But part of him felt the weight of his connection with Charles pressing against his conscience. Would it seem disloyal to seek help from someone so wealthy? He took a deep breath, glancing at Emily, who stood at his side, uncertainty etched on her young face. "We need to help them, Dad," she urged, her voice barely above a whisper. "You can do something. You know how to fix things." That's when the realization washed over Jake like cold water. He needed to be the fixer he'd always been, the one who found solutions even when they seemed insurmountable. But could he do it alone? Across town, Charles was in his lavish office, staring at the phone, contemplating the man he'd grown to admire. The thick haze of Cedar Grove's recent tragedy floated into his world of boardrooms and corporate deals. He wanted to reach out, to offer support. Yet, he hesitated. Should I really make that call? He pondered, wrestling with doubt and implications. His assistant stood by, sensing the turmoil brewing inside him. You have a chance to make a difference, Charles, she said gently. This could be the moment to show them who you really are. Meanwhile, the townsfolk gathered in the dusty parking lot where the fire marred their beloved community. Emotions boiled over as they shared stories, tears flowing freely. Each tale reminded them of what they had lost. Jake stepped forward, his heart pounding as he faced the crowd. We can rebuild. He shouted, his voice rising above the sorrow. We've done it before, and we can do it again. But doubt flickered in their eyes, as if hope was slipping through their fingers. Just then, his phone buzzed, and he pulled it out, glancing at the caller ID. It was Charles. Answer it, Emily urged, squeezing her father's arm, her own uncertainties mirrored in her wide, hopeful eyes. Jake hesitated. How would he explain this to his friends, to his neighbors? Yet, as the weight of the moment pressed down on him, he answered, heart racing. Charles? Jake. I heard about the community center. Charles's voice was a soothing balm amidst the chaos. I want to help. I'm coming to Cedar Grove. Jake's heart soared, yet confusion swirled just beneath the surface. Would this escape the grasp of their shared values, or could it be the lifeline Cedar Grove desperately needed? The murmurs picked up around him, and every eye turned toward him. What's happening? Someone called out. He could feel the weight of their expectation, the suspense hanging thick in the air. As Jake struggled to unite his internal feelings about Charles's support with the wants and needs of the community he loved, the stakes had never felt higher. A choice loomed ahead, and with it, a pivotal moment for Cedar Grove. Would the acceptance of help from a billionaire bring the community together or fracture it further? He took a deep breath, realizing this could redefine everything. But just as he was about to respond, another call came in, forcing him to weigh all possible outcomes at once. Would it be another twist in a story filled with uncertainty? Would he face the truth head-on or retreat? Jake's heart raced as he glanced down at the phone. The second call was from a number he didn't recognize, but something told him he had to answer. Maybe it was a sign, some unexpected twist in this chaotic moment. He cleared his throat, pressing the green button. Hello? This is Cindy from the Cedar Grove Food Bank. I heard about the fire, and we're all devastated. The voice on the other end was shaky but warm. We're trying to organize a fundraiser. Can you help? Jake's breath hitched. In the middle of their uncertainty, here was a flicker of hope. Absolutely, he replied, his tone more assured now. What do you need? The two spoke passionately about gathering donations, volunteers, and spreading the word. Jake felt the fire of determination ignite within him again. This was what Cedar Grove needed: community solidarity, a coming together to heal. As he hung up, he noticed Emily looking at him, her eyes wide with curiosity and admiration. Did you really just agree to help with a fundraiser? She asked, a half-smile creeping onto her face. Yeah, and we're going to need all hands on deck, Jake replied, energized by the call. Let us take this opportunity to show everyone what we're capable of when we unite. For the first time in the last hour, hope washed over him. It was a dim light, but enough to guide them through the darkness. Jake turned to the crowd, who were still milling about in shock. Listen up, everyone, he called, his voice rising with strength. We're going to get through this together. We're organizing a fundraiser, and I need your help. A low murmur rippled through the people, eyes brightening with interest. We can donate goods, set up booths, anything, shouted one neighbor. Ideas began flowing, a collective heartbeat swelling in the crowd. Jake felt the energy around him shift. The doubts began to fade. Just then, a sleek car pulled into the parking lot, its polished surface gleaming under the late afternoon sun. Jake's gaze shifted away from the crowd, and a familiar figure stepped out, Charles, dressed in his crisp businessman attire, looking every bit the man he was. "Jake!" he bellowed, striding toward him, a determined look on his face. "I'm here to help." The weight of the moment crashed down around Jake again. He was torn. The community was finally rallying together, yet here was the wealthy man with his promises of support. Would they welcome him? Or would mistrust bear down like a heavy fog? He met Charles halfway, finding strength in the man's gaze. "I appreciate that, Charles. But it's crucial we do this together. The community has to trust that we're still in control of our recovery." Charles nodded, understanding shifting across his expression. "I get it. Let us work side by side. I have ideas, resources we can use to re-establish the center." Jake could feel the crowd's eyes on him, anticipation buzzing in the air like electricity. Trust was fragile right now, but if he could show them that accepting help didn't mean giving up their own spirit, maybe they could weave something beautiful out of their disaster. Before he could respond, Emily squeezed his arm again and whispered, "You can do this, Dad." Taking a deep breath, he turned back to the assembled crowd. "Charles is here to help," he announced. The murmurs continued, uncertain. Jake felt a mix of apprehension and resolve settle over him. Could they embrace this partnership? Could they bridge the gap between his community and the world of wealth? As he looked around, he realized there was potential for something greater, and that scared him as much as it excited him. But as he stood at that crossroads, a new call buzzed in his pocket. Who could it be now? Jake's heart thumped as he pulled out his phone once more. Was this another layer of complication, or the answer he never knew he needed? The tension wrapped tightly around him, intensifying as curiosity bubbled to the surface. What revelations could this unexpected call bring? Jake stared at his phone, a moment stretching into eternity. The screen lit up, and the caller ID showed a familiar name, Mark, his old friend from high school. It sent a rush of nostalgia through him, but now wasn't the time. They hadn't spoken in years. Still, there was something about that name that made Jake's chest tighten that he swiped to answer. "Mark? Is that you?" "Jake. Wow, it's been too long. I just heard about the fire. I'm so sorry." "Thanks, man," Jake interrupted, feeling the weight of the call and his world crashing down all at once. "It's been chaotic here. We're trying to organize a fundraiser. I can't believe this is happening. How can I help?" Jake hadn't expected this. Their friendship had faded as they went their separate ways. But here he was, ready to support him. "We need donations, food. If you're still in the area, maybe you can even volunteer?" The words spilled out, fueled by desperation and hope. "I might be able to scrounge some things together. I'm currently out of town, but I'll reach out to a few contacts." Mark's voice was steady, full of assurance. "I can also spread the word on social media. You know I have a decent following." Relief washed over Jake. A voice from the past, a solid connection that felt needed now. "Thanks, Mark. That would mean a lot." "Absolutely. Just keep me in the loop, okay?" As they hung up, Jake felt different. Like a puzzle piece had clicked back into place. The community was rallying, and now he had a lifeline from an old friend, reigniting memories of laughter and shared goals. "Who was that?" Emily asked, hope blooming in her eyes. "Just an old buddy. He's going to help us too." Jake flashed her a smile. They had momentum now, and he could see it reflected in Emily's widening grin. It was as if they were shifting from shadows into sunlight together. The crowd had grown restless with the renewed energy flowing through Jake's veins. He cleared his throat again, feeling more confident. "All right, everyone. I have some good news. We're gaining support. We've got help coming in from multiple directions. Together, we can make this work." A few claps followed, and someone shouted, "Let us do this." Energy surged, excitement filtering through. Jake felt the moment spark something new, and he could sense his resolve deepening. Amidst the crowd, he caught sight of Charles. The man was still watching intently, and even though there was uncertainty lingering in the air, Jake felt a strange reassurance as if they really were beginning something important together. Suddenly, an elderly woman in the back raised her hand. Jake. How can we volunteer? I may not have much, but I've got time and a knack for baking. Laughter erupted, followed by a wave of offers from others, each person willing to contribute what they could. Jake watched as ideas bounced around: potluck suppers, yard sales, local businesses offering services. Hope filled the space, and he basked in it, a warmth spreading through his heart. Amid the chaos of plans and dreams, Jake's phone buzzed again. This time, a message from Mark popped onto the screen. I'll be back in town tomorrow morning. Let us meet up and brainstorm. Jake felt a mix of excitement and fear. Would Mark's return stir up old memories? Old dynamics? Or would it solidify this new growth he could already feel blooming in everyone around him? He looked at the gathering crowd and realized this might very well be the start of a hopeful chapter for Cedar Grove. Yet, questions lingered. Would the community fully embrace the help of his affluent friend? The buzz of the crowd faded slightly as he focused on that text. With his heart racing again, anticipation coursed through him. Tomorrow would be critical. Would it solidify their path forward or derail their progress completely? He couldn't shake the feeling that everything hinged on that meeting. The weight of it hung thick in the air as he scanned the faces before him, bright with optimism, but still clouded with uncertainty. What awaited them the next day? As the sun began to dip behind the horizon, Jake gripped his phone tightly, steeling himself for the challenges ahead. The morning light filtered through the curtains, warming the chill that had settled overnight. Jake sat at the kitchen table, a cup of coffee steaming in front of him. He couldn't shake off the feeling that today would bring significant change. Every sip felt heavy as if it carried the weight of his hopes and worries. Emily was busy packing up flyers to distribute around town. Are you ready for Mark? She asked, looking over her shoulder. The concern in her voice mirrored the stirrings in Jake's heart. I think so, he replied, running a hand through his hair. I mean, it's been years. What if things are awkward? Hey, remember why you called him in the first place? You need him, too. Her words eased some of the tension knotting his stomach. She was right. They had a mission. As the clock ticked closer to 10, Jake leaned back, nerves buzzing through him. A sharp knock at the door pulled him from his thoughts. Jake exchanged a quick glance with Emily before he stood, his heartbeat quickening. He reached for the knob, taking a deep breath. When he opened the door, he was met with Mark's familiar face, though it had matured over the years. The hint of a beard framed his jaw, and his brown eyes sparkled with a welcoming warmth. Jake! He exclaimed, pulling him into a firm hug. Good to see you, man. The embrace felt unexpectedly comforting, like reconnecting a bridge long lost to time. Once inside, Mark wasted no time diving into the conversation. I'm here to help. I reached out to some folks, and we can kick things off with a fundraising dinner. I know a couple of great local restaurants that might be willing to contribute. Dinner? Jake breathed, a mix of surprise and excitement bubbling up. That could work. But how do we even pull that off? A mischievous smile spread across Mark's face. Leave that to me. I have some ideas. Plus, I can use my social media reach to get people excited. Jake felt relief wash over him. Mark's confidence was infectious, igniting a spark in him too. They spent the next hour brainstorming ideas, sketching out plans, and sharing laughs. It felt good to reconnect, to remember the joy of working together. While they rifled through potential venues, Jake couldn't help but share a piece of his heart with Mark. It's been tough, man. I just keep thinking about the people affected by the fire. They need support more than ever. Mark's expression softened, and he nodded slowly. I get that. I know how tight-knit this community is. You don't just lose a building, you lose memories, gatherings, families. Something about those words struck Jake deep. He looked out the window, watching families walk their dogs, kids riding bikes, life moving forward. And we can help them rebuild. Not just the structures but also their spirits. Yes, Mark said, the gravity of the moment settling around them. We can be the catalyst for that change, but it'll take everyone. Excitement bubbled in Jake's chest again, mingling with a gnawing anxiety. What if they couldn't pull this off? Later, they decided to visit one of the local restaurants Mark suggested, hoping to speak with the owner directly. As they entered, the scent of freshly baked bread and simmering marinara embraced them. A homey warmth wrapped around Jake, and for a moment, it felt as if the world outside had disappeared. Mark approached the owner, a woman in her 50s with hair pulled back into a bun. As they spoke, Jake watched, absorbing the way Mark spoke with charm and passion. He felt a flicker of inspiration. Mark was a connector, something Jake realized the community desperately needed, but just as they began discussing potential partnerships, Jake's phone buzzed in his pocket, a message from someone unexpected. His heart raced again, a whirlwind of emotion gathering within him. Who could it be? When he glanced at the screen, his breath hitched. It was a voice from the past he didn't expect to hear. Could this new arrival impact everything they had just begun? The possibilities loomed heavy with potential. As he peered at Mark, who was deep in conversation, Jake felt a swell of hope and trepidation. Everything was in motion. Would this lead to a breakthrough or further complications? The path seemed more winding ahead, and all Jake could do was step forward into the unknown. What would this new twist bring? Jake's fingers trembled as he stared at the screen. The name flashing before him sent chills down his spine. It couldn't be, could it? A sense of disbelief washed over him when he read the text again. It was a message from Mia, his former partner and his first love, who had left town abruptly 8 years ago. Jake? Is that you? The message read. Mark's voice broke through the fog in his mind. Hey, you good? You look like you've seen a ghost. He nodded, attempting to shake off the flood of memories resurfacing. Yeah, everything's fine. Just a message from an old friend. Mark raised an eyebrow, clearly unconvinced. An old friend, or an old flame? Jake glanced back at his phone, his heart racing. Arguably, it was both. Mia had vanished from his life without a word, leaving nothing but unanswered questions. The thought of reconnecting now stirred both excitement and fear within him. I'll be right back. I need to take this, Jake said, excusing himself. Mark gave him a slight nod, his curiosity evident. Stepping outside, Jake inhaled deeply, as if he could absorb the cool air and steady his nerves. He pressed the phone to his ear, feeling a mixture of anticipation and dread. Mia? Jake? It really is you. Her voice was warm yet tentative, like the sunlight breaking through the clouds. What is going on? Why are you reaching out now? He asked, trying to keep his tone steady, though his mind raced with a million questions. I'm back in town, she said, her words slow and careful. I heard about the fire and thought of you. I wanted to see how you're doing. And maybe help? The memories flooded back. The late-night talks, the laughter, the plans they had made together. The world had felt so right back then. And then it had all come crashing down. You just disappeared, Mia. I thought I know. I didn't mean to hurt you. I had things I needed to sort out. But now, I'm back, and I want to make things right. Jake's heart ached with conflicting emotions. The anger, the hurt, it was all still there, buried beneath layers of time. Yet, there was an undeniable flicker of hope rising within him. How can you help now? There are ways I can contribute. My business has changed. I can bring resources and maybe even help galvanize the community. We can rebuild this together, she replied. Jake glanced back at the restaurant, where Mark was now deep in conversation with the owner. Every part of him wanted to turn away from this call, to forget the past. But another part, the part that cared about his community, nudged him to listen. He started, but the words tangled in his throat. You really want to help? Yes. I'm in, Jake. But it's not just about the rebuilding. Her tone shifted, carrying more vulnerability. I want to understand what happened to us, to see if there's any way we can move forward. The weight of those words hung heavy in the air. Jake felt the pull of unresolved feelings, memories like faded photographs filled with laughter and love. Could he truly open that door again? Just then, a fleeting glance back at Mark made him rethink. Who was he becoming now, and how much of his past was he willing to bring into this new venture? Where were they headed? Let us meet. But I need to talk with you in person, Jake finally said. Okay, when? Tonight. The line went silent for a heartbeat before she whispered, okay. I'll be there. As Jake hung up, the gravity of his decision crashed down on him. He was stepping into a storm, confronting the past that had shaped him. Would this reunion spell trouble, or another chance for healing? Mark approached just as Jake walked back inside. Everything okay? Jake forced a smile, but his mind was already swirling with the potential implications of both Mia's return and their new mission. Yeah. Just a lot going on. Let us keep pushing forward, Mark encouraged, unaware of the storm that awaited him. As they talked logistics, Jake's thoughts circled like wildfire. The excitement of the project, the unease of the past reawakening. It wouldn't be easy. Could he manage both? Tomorrow would bring clarity or chaos. He felt the turning of wheels, and although he was scared, he also felt alive. What would this whirlwind of emotions bring when they met? Jake couldn't help but wonder what the night would unveil. The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a warm golden hue over the town as evening crept in. Jake couldn't shake the anxiety tightening in his chest. The restaurant was beginning to empty, and with every passing moment, he felt more like a time bomb waiting to explode. Would Mia really show up? And if she did, how could he face her without unraveling everything? Jake, you alright? Mark asked, concern etching deeper lines across his forehead as he leaned against the bar. Yeah, just thinking. Jake's eyes drifted to the door, searching for Mia's familiar face. The warmth of her laughter echoed in his mind, a distant memory that felt so close yet so far. Mark shrugged, sipping a drink. We've got a solid plan for the fundraiser tomorrow. We can't let any drama distract us. As if on cue, the door swung open, and there she stood. Mia, bathed in the fading light, looked just as he remembered, hair pulled back in a way that framed her delicate features, jeans hugging her curves just right. There was a sense of maturity in her eyes, one that suggested those years apart had fundamentally changed her. Hey, she said softly, taking a step forward. Hey, Jake replied, his heart racing. Was it the thrill of rekindling something lost, or the fear of what might resurface? Can we talk? She asked, glancing at Mark. Sure, he said, sensing it was time to step away. He squeezed Jake's shoulder. I'll be nearby. Jake swallowed hard as he led Mia to a small booth in the corner, away from prying eyes. The tension hung between them like a thick fog. He watched her fidget with her hands, searching for words. I can only imagine what you're thinking, she started, voice wavering. I didn't come back to reopen old wounds, but I've thought about you every day since I left. The honesty in her voice made Jake's chest ache. He had wanted to scream and rage during all those years she was gone, yet here she was, stripped of the defenses he had built. What happened to us was hard, he said, choosing his words carefully. You left without saying goodbye, Mia. It felt like I was left with nothing. I know. And I'm sorry, she replied, tears welling in her eyes. I thought it was best for both of us, but it was selfish. I hid from my own problems instead of facing them. The air between them crackled with unresolved feelings. Jake could see the flicker of regret shadowing her face. I want to believe you, Mia. But how can I trust anything you say now? You'll have to let me show you, she said, wiping a tear away. I really want to help with the rebuilding. I want to make a difference, not just for you, but for the town we both loved. For a moment, Jake felt the weight of their shared past meld with the promise of future possibilities. Could he really let her back in? The thought made him dizzy, filled with uncertainty and a reluctant flutter of hope. You and I, he started, looking deep into her eyes, we have unfinished business. And I can't just dive back in without knowing, what's next for us? Mia nodded slowly, the emotion in her gaze mirroring his own. I understand. I'm not expecting us to just pick up where we left off. But I want to try whatever that looks like. Jake exhaled deeply, feeling both overwhelmed and relieved. This can't just be about us, we need to focus on the community and what it needs right now. Absolutely, she replied and reached out, placing a hand over his. We can support each other through this. Together. The warmth of her touch sent shivers racing up his arm, reigniting feelings he thought had long been extinguished. Was this the bridge he had been too afraid to cross? As they leaned into conversation about the fundraiser, Jake caught a glimpse of the woman Mia had become. There was ambition there, a genuine desire to contribute. Yet, the risk of opening his heart felt daunting. Can we really make this work? He asked, vulnerability lacing his voice. Let us find out, Mia said, her smile brave and full of hope. The door swung open, and a group of jovial patrons entered, filling the space with laughter. Jake felt the world around him blur. Those sounds faded as he and Mia forged a connection anew, surrounded by a whirlwind of possibilities. But a nagging question remained: could they really build something from the ashes of their shattered past? In that moment, everything felt both thrilling and precarious. How much risk was each willing to take for the sake of their future? Would history repeat itself, or could they break the cycle? Mia's laughter cut through Jake's thoughts, light and refreshing despite the gravity of the moment. He felt like they were stepping back into a past that neither had truly left behind. As they talked, he couldn't ignore the sudden rush of gratitude that surged through him. She was right there, wanting to be part of something bigger than their tangled history. I think we should start planning the fundraiser right now, Mia suggested, a spark in her eyes. There's so much we can do if we really put our hearts into it. Yeah, like Jake hesitated, hesitant to dream too big. Like what? Let us organize a community event. She exclaimed, her passion contagious. We can invite local musicians, set up booths for local businesses, and incorporate a donation drive. It would be a great way to engage everyone and raise the funds needed to rebuild the community center. Jake felt a smile tug at his lips. You really think we can pull something like that off? Absolutely. We can meet with the local council, get everyone on board. And who knows? Maybe we can get some sponsors to help. Her enthusiasm lit a fire in Jake, one he hadn't felt in ages. You've put a lot of thought into this, he said, admiration creeping into his voice. More than you know, she said, her expression turning serious again. But I also want to make sure we're ready, Jake. I don't want to dive back into whatever this is between us without addressing what happened before. Her honesty hit Jake like a punch. It was a reminder that their past loomed over them, dark but necessary to confront. He couldn't shake the nagging doubt that this might end up just like before. I get that, he replied, his voice steady though his heart raced. I don't want to gloss over everything and pretend we were fine. I need to know if we can really trust each other. Mia nodded, her gaze unwavering. We need to be open. If we can't communicate, then all this, she gestured between them, won't matter. The moment hung heavy, charged with possibilities. Would he allow himself to trust in what they could build together? I promise to be honest with you, Mia, Jake said, feeling the weight of the words. I just have to know that we're both committed to making this work, no matter how hard it gets. She smiled, a soft yet powerful beacon of hope. Then let us do this together. For the town, and for us. Their hands intertwined, and Jake felt a warmth spreading through him. There was so much uncertainty, but the potential flickered brightly just beneath the surface. Just then, Mark reappeared, pulling them back to the present. Hey, lovebirds. I overheard something about a fundraiser. Let us make it epic. His exuberance lightened the mood, filling the booth with a sense of camaraderie. As they shared ideas, the restaurant buzzed around them, the clinking of glasses, laughter echoing in the air. It was as if the universe was on their side, swirling with encouragement. The moment felt alive with promise. But as they strategized the plans, a shadow crossed Jake's mind, whispering doubts he struggled to silence. Could they really pull this off? Was this just wishful thinking? As they finalized their plans, a sudden noise behind them disrupted the flow, an argument brewing at the entrance. Jake turned to see a couple, voices raised, tension crackling in the air. His stomach twisted, and he couldn't help but wonder if social turmoil would threaten the fragile hope he was trying to nurture with Mia. Everything all right? Mark leaned in closer, eyes wide. I hope so, Jake murmured, as the couple's shouting escalated. But right now, there are bigger things than just us. Mia glanced at him, concern etched on her features. What do you mean? Before he could answer, the couple pushed through the door, and Jake caught a glimpse of something in their faces, of fear or intensity that echoed in his own heart. It felt like a reminder that their road ahead wouldn't be smooth. As the atmosphere shifted wildly around them, Jake's phone buzzed in his pocket. He pulled it out, glancing down at the screen. The message was sudden and unexpected, a single phrase that left him breathless. We need to talk. It's about Mia. The weight of uncertainty crashed down. What could this mean? Who was it from? Jake's heart pounded as he exchanged a worried glance with Mia. The thrill of their plans faded, overshadowed by looming danger. Suddenly, it felt like the past was creeping back in, ready to challenge the fragile future they were trying to build. Jake's hands trembled slightly as he stared at the phone, the message burning a hole in his pocket. He felt a jolt of fear push through him, tight and cold, as he glanced up at Mia. Her carefree laughter from just moments before felt worlds away now, eclipsed by this new shadow. Mia, he said, voice low and urgent. I just got this, it's about you. What do you mean? She asked, concern creeping into her voice. A weight settled in the space between them, curling like smoke from a dying ember. It's just a text, Jake rushed to say, though his heart raced like it was trying to escape. But it's from someone I don't recognize. They say we need to talk, about you. Mia's face paled, and she quickly reached for his phone, her fingers brushing against his. A jolt of electricity shot through him at the contact. Her gaze darted between his face and the screen, searching for something, reassurance, hope, answers, but he had none to give. Who sent it? She pressed, her voice shaking as much as his hands were, but there was something steely in her eyes, a resolve that steadied him even amidst rising chaos. I don't know, Jake muttered, flipping through his notifications in agitation. No name. Just a number. I didn't recognize it. The number looked ominous, like a warning he couldn't quite decipher. Call it, Mia urged, gripping the edge of the table, her jaw set in determination. We can't let silence hang over us, not now. Jake hesitated. What if it doesn't lead anywhere good? Then we'll deal with it together, she said, her voice firm. Just do it. The encouragement in her tone swirled around him, a reminder of their newfound commitment. With a shaky breath, he tapped the number, watching as it began to dial, feeling detached yet acutely aware of the rising tension in the room. As it rang, the couple from before stormed out, still shouting, the chaos around them fading into a dull hum as he focused on the call. Come on, pick up, he whispered, holding his breath. On the third ring, a voice answered, one that was soft but laced with urgency. Hello? Hi, Jake said, taken aback by the warmth of the voice, especially given the context. This is Jake. I got your message about Mia. Thank God you picked up. The voice exclaimed. I know this is confusing, but you really need to listen. It's important. Mia is in danger. Jake's gut dropped at the words, a chill creeping up his spine. He shot a glance at Mia, who looked as pale as the winter moon. What do you mean? Who are you? I can't explain everything right now. Just know that someone is watching her, waiting for the right moment to act, the voice pressed, a hint of panic threading through their speech. You have to protect her, Jake. You have to be careful. Protect her? He echoed, the gravity of the situation crashing down on him like a tidal wave. Why? Who's behind this? But the call was already ended, the line buzzing with silence. Jake stared at the phone, mind racing, pulse hammering in his ears. What was that about? Mia asked, her voice shaky as she leaned closer, drawn in by his stunned expression. Jake swallowed hard, trying to find his voice. I don't know. But we need to figure this out. Right now. Fear mingled with adrenaline in the air, thickening as Jake knew their plans for the fundraiser might be the least of their worries. But before he could voice his thoughts, a low rumble echoed through the restaurant, a deep shake shaking the very foundations beneath them. Tables rattled, plates slipped, and gasps echoed from every corner, the anxiety of the moment amplifying as they tried to regain stability. Jake! Mia shouted, panic flaring in her eyes as they stumbled to balance themselves amid the chaos. What's happening? I don't know, he said, voice rising above the panic it enveloped. But deep down, he felt the sensation grow inside him, a mixture of fear and a strange, excited determination. Maybe something is trying to break through, he thought, as he gripped Mia's hand tighter, the world around them trembling, foreshadowing both danger and resolution. The question hung heavy in the air. Were they ready to face whatever storm was brewing, together? The tremors subsided slowly, leaving behind a tense silence that felt heavier than before. Jake and Mia shared a look, a mixture of fear and determination coursing through them like electricity. The charm of their plans had been overshadowed, but Jake felt a surge of resolve pushing him forward. Let us get out of here, he said, squeezing her hand tighter, the warmth grounding him amid chaos. They made their way through the cluttered restaurant, the faint echoes of laughter now stilled, replaced with whispers and anxious murmurs. As they stepped onto the sidewalk, the chill of the evening air struck them. A sense of urgency pushed them further away from the noise, and Jake glanced around as if danger lurked just out of sight. Did you hear what that person said? Mia asked, her voice steady yet edged with confusion. Who's watching me? Why didn't they identify themselves? Jake shook his head, panic looming over them like dark thunderclouds. I don't know, but we'll find out. We need to protect you, Mia. Just then, his phone vibrated again, an unfamiliar number flashing on the screen. A surge of adrenaline forced his heart into a rapid beat. What if it's about the warning? He wondered as he answered it. Jake. It was a frantic voice, filled with urgency. You need to listen. Follow Mia's every move. She's in danger, and they want to use her to get to you. He felt the weight of those words slam into him, like a train collision. Why? Who are you? He pressed, dread pooling in his stomach. I can't explain now. Just trust me. They will come for her tonight. The call ended abruptly, leaving Jake staring blankly at the streetlights flickering overhead. Mia, we have to go. He exclaimed, pulling her along. We can't just sit around. I have this feeling whoever is after you is close. Her expression transformed from curiosity to fear. Where do we go? We'll go to my shop. I have tools there, we can secure it. Jake's mind raced with urgency. They took off, fear driving their strides, determined to create a safe haven amid the uncertainty. As they reached the auto shop, the scent of gasoline and oil surrounded them like an old familiar blanket. Jake quickly locked the door behind them, heart racing as silence filled the space. Jake? Mia whispered, uncertainty swirling in her gaze. What if they find us? Let us breathe, he said, exhaling slow and steady. It's dark out, and we'll be hidden here until we figure this out. In moments, it felt like a protective cocoon, but tension simmered just beneath the surface. They exchanged ideas about all they had to set in motion, the fundraiser, the community, everything that had blossomed amidst the turmoil. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps broke through the stillness. Jake's heart sank, every instinct alerting him to danger. We may not be alone, he murmured. Mia's eyes widened, and Jake held his breath, listening intently. The steps faded into nothing but shadows, but the threat felt near. A loud crash echoed through the front of the shop, and Jake's adrenaline surged. Stay here. He whispered, stepping towards the noise, moving cautiously. But as he turned the corner, he was met with uncertainty and relief, standing face to face with Charles. "I've been looking for you." Charles puffed, clearly rattled. He adjusted his jacket, a seriousness etched into his features. "This place is the talk of town. The fire, the fundraiser, and now what's this about Mia?" Jake blinked, desperately fighting to harness the unexpected rush of emotions. I got a threat. "Someone's after her," he replied. "They want to use her." Charles glanced at Mia, calculating, his brows knitted. "I'll help you whatever it takes. You took a chance on me, now it's my time to return the favor." Though Jake felt a shred of skepticism, he couldn't ignore the man's earnestness. "Can we trust you?" "Yes," Charles affirmed, his voice strong, eyes meeting Jake's. "You brought the community together. I'll do the same, just maybe on a bigger scale. But we need information, and we need to act fast. I have to call Mark and ask him to spread the word. Everyone needs to know." "Perfect," Charles said. "I have resources to mobilize help quickly. Let us use that." "No," Mia interjected, voice firm. "No one else is getting involved until we know what we're dealing with. This is about us." Jake turned, surprised at her sudden assertiveness. "But we need to find out who's threatening you. The last thing we want is for it to escalate." "I understand that, and I don't mean to be harsh," she paused, shaking her head in frustration. "But Jake, I need you on my side. If this is our battle, we face it together, just the three of us." A thick tension filled the room. Jake looked between them, Charles's brows furrowed while Mia's determination reflected his own emotions. Time handcuffed them as he realized they needed to trust each other to heal from the past. "All right," he nodded slowly. "But we work together. We can't let the danger dictate our steps. Let us stick to our plans and involve only those who have our backs." In that moment, despite the turmoil swirling around them, a sense of unity ignited within Jake. He felt the connection between him, Mia, and even Charles forming an unexpected bond. Silence enveloped them once more, but a simmering urgency grew. Together, they would face whatever lay ahead, confronting the uncertainties that threatened to tear them apart. No late nights or past regrets, just the heat of the moment fueling them. As the flickering fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, a belief sparked to life within Jake. Despite everything, they would rebuild not just for the town but for their future too. "Tomorrow," he declared, "we'll rally everyone. But first, let us keep this moment sacred, together." The chaos outside could wait, but inside the confines of the shop, they readied themselves to face the darkness, unafraid, united as one. When dawn broke, it would bring with it a battle for their community, a fight against the shadows, and a rekindled hope for a brighter future. And that was just the beginning. As events unfolded, America would witness that true strength begins with unity against the odds. You need to subscribe now to our channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. It truly makes a difference in helping us grow this community. Comment below your thoughts on this ending, your emotions, and what you think will happen next. And don't wait not even one more second to share this with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation.